It's less than 3 months to Ironman 70.3 Michigan, and the real training has finally begun. The basic plan is to increase the swimming distance and biking distance, while tossing in some long runs, brick workouts, and other various skill improvement workouts. Mainly aero bars. Lots of aero bar work. However, a triathlon is more than just athletics. There's the race experience itself, transitions, preparing for the race, and also, of course, following the rules. For this reason, I'm racing several sprint triathlons leading up to the main event. Triathlon training is mostly a solitary event, but racing is sure not one. Last year when I was talking to the head of Team Hopewiner International, he was introducing me to the concept of the human washing machine. That is the name of the very close quarters swimming that occurs at these events, and I didn't want my first 70.3 to be the first time I experienced that. While these sprint triathlons have about 1/10 the number of people in the Ironman 70.3 I'll be racing, they both use a similar staggered start, so therefore the number of people who are actually swimming around me should be about the same. Now that I have one of the sprint triathlons behind me, the swim experience was awesome. Going into it, I was a bit terrified. It just was going to go horrible and, this can be crazy, but I actually really ended up enjoying the whole swim aspect of the race. So related to this was being comfortable in a bike race. Now last year when I raced up in Tawas, I was completely a nervous wreck during the bike portion of the race. Therefore, coming to Frankfurt, I wanted to make sure that I was perfectly calm and wasn't going to be freaking out for 56 miles. That'd be really bad. That is why I want to race all these triathlons here and kind of get that whole bike experience underneath me and just get used to being in that competitive environment. Transitions are a major part of the triathlon game. Now, at this point, I'm really not competing at a high enough level where running a quicker transition matters a whole lot. Though, to be fair, up in Tawas, I did kind of lose in transition. Long story. I still need to have all my ducks in a row. The equipment I need for these races is still pretty similar to what I'll be bringing for Ironman 70.3 Michigan, but with less nutrition. Therefore, the goal in this transition process for these sprint triathlons was to basically build a comprehensive pre-race checklist, so therefore when it comes to the main event, I have not forgot anything. Also, this will help me work out any of the issues I have in transition. For example, I kind of got stuck in my wetsuit in the last race, and that cost me about 2 minutes. Fortunately though, I do have one of those wetsuits where I can kind of adjust the length by a few inches, so maybe that'll make things a bit better. I'll have to try at least one more time before the big race in September. Honestly, I'm not sure how much rule enforcement is really done at these races for random age groupers, but I want to make sure I have the big things down, like bike helmets, for example. If I'm going to screw up something in regards to the rules, I want it to be at one of these small triathlons and not the main 70.3. The other thing I want to focus on is draft distance. In most of these races, you got to stay so far behind your opponent in the bike segment of the race. So I want to make sure I've got that distance down and I only close in when I'm intending to pass. At one point, I was falling behind at the correct draft distance. When I hit a part of the course I like to refer to as "oh hill," and I entered the draft zone of the person in front of me. A little under 500 watts, and about 10 seconds later, I legally completed the pass, going up about a 6% grade of a hill. It's not a good idea, but it's what's required under the rules. I figured I would talk a little bit about performance here. Now, what I'm not doing is using these sprint triathlons to figure out what my intended pace is going to be for the actual 70.3. My 70.3 training plan is what's going to be dictating my 70.3 pace. That being said, I can use these sprint triathlons a little bit to kind of evaluate my current training level. In the swim, which is wetsuit legal, I hit a pace of about 2 minutes per 100 yards. This is my fastest pace ever, and this happens to also be my intended goal for Ironman 70.3 Michigan. Could I maintain that pace for about another 1,300 yards or so? Probably not, but it's good to know I at least can hit one of my speed goals at this time. Now, cycling is where I need the most improvement. My speed was just a little bit under 17 miles an hour, which is pretty crappy for a sprint triathlon. Improving this is mainly about getting in a little bit more of an aero position, and I'm slowly working on that just a little bit at a time here. My racing bike behind me here doesn't have its aero bars on it just quite yet, but that should change in just a little bit. I put a pair of draft legal, that's what they're intended to be used for, draft legal aero bars on my old mountain bike, and I figured out the process of learning how to ride aero bars on that bike, which is a little bit more stable and easier to ride. Now I just got to go ahead and repeat the process back over here on this bike. It might be a bit ambitious to assume that I can ride the full 56 miles on aero bars at this point, but even if I can use them during some of the easier straightaway sections, I can save either time or leg strength during the race. Given the difficulty of this run course, there's about a nice steep hill the first mile or so. My run pace was pretty reasonable. It's about a 7-minute, 44-minute mile, which is a bit slow for a sprint triathlon, but I just justified that a moment ago. Now, obviously this is about 1/4 the length-ish, a little bit less than that, of the 70.3 half marathon, so clearly I'm gonna be running a bit slower for that. My best standalone half marathon pace is about an 8:30-minute mile, and in an ideal world I'd like to hit that for the 70.3, but honestly I'm probably going to be getting closer to a 9-minute mile, and if I go just a little bit faster than that, I can still get the half marathon done under 2 hours. So now at this point, because we're getting kind of into a bit of the meat of the training session, I guess the big question is, am I happy with where I'm at in terms of my performance? And the answer is, sort of. I got sick for about 2 weeks during the start of the summer here, and it's been windy as heck in Michigan, which makes bike riding a bit tricky. These things back here, these triathlon frames, are designed more for cutting through the wind straight ahead and not when it's being shot as like an air cannon across a lake where I train. So when birds are flying sideways, you really shouldn't be riding one of these bikes on the road, even without the fancy deep section wheels. There's still a little bit of a sail. So I'm catching back up. I'm just about to where I should be at this time in terms of my training plan, so I'm gonna move forward. At the very least, I'm still pretty confident I'm gonna be doing the race. I'm gonna be able to complete it. I'm not 100% sure about getting it done under a 6-hour time frame. It's sort of like a nice, good time for an amateur age grouper. I guess amateur does mean age grouper in triathlon, for an Ironman 70.3 race. Whether I get that number or not really depends on just how comfortable I get on the aero bars. If I don't get very comfortable on them, I'm looking closer to a 3-hour, 20-minute-ish bike ride, and there's no way I'm getting done in under 6 hours with that case. I really want to hit closer to 19, 20 miles an hour on the bike, and then I can get it. But we will see how things go. At the time of recording here, I've got, about 2.5 months to the race. So I've got plenty of time, hopefully, to sort things out. So once again, I'm Jason. Actually, not once again. I don't introduce myself at the beginning of the videos anymore. I'm Jason, the creator of the Tabletop Battlefield. If you guys want to learn a little bit more about Team Hopewiner International, who I'm competing with at Ironman 70.3 Michigan, I'll put a link to them down in the show notes of this video. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.